Howdy, we're talking about forensics. And again, I'm giving you just the overview. One of those rare times you'll hear me say, call a lawyer before you do anything, right? So here's what happens in a cyber event. What constitutes the evidence? For instance, I think it is a very good practice for every business to maintain a visitor log. So you come in the front, you're not badged to be there. Whether it can be unclassified. It can be a company that makes, bathroom sinks. I don't care. There's a visitor's log. So UPS comes in and drops something off. There's a record of it. Someone comes in claiming to be a vendor. There's a record of it. You check ID. 2, 3, 4, 6 months later, something happens. Part of your evidence is going to be that physical visitor's log. I have a friend that operates a company in College Station. I've known him since 85 or 86 when we were both getting our PhDs. I walk into his building every single time I sign the visitor's log. I don't try to say, hey, I've known Larry, since before he founded this company. No, I adhere to their rules. So my point in this is when they say acquire evidence, it can be a workstation, a company-owned file servers. But look what Dr. Conklin's leaving out. One of the few criticisms I'll ever have of the man, please don't tell him. We've just had a panel accepted in Miami in November. I'm very excited about it. He's a wonderful guy. But look, he's talking about computer forensics. I'm looking at it as a lawyer, physical. I want everything physical record. Remember what I said about business records? That's what this is. So that includes for me the visitor's log, because it may be that someone surreptitiously planted something at the time they were physically that somehow compromised your network, but maybe not that day or maybe not that week. When I was in law school several, 10 or 12 years ago, I wrote a paper and I was doing some research and one case where a janitor dropped something when he went and picked it up. He actually inserted a device into the network, and he, proceeded to clean the offices and everything, and probably some other time went back and picked it up. And the comment later was someone said, he wore awfully nice shoes for a janitor. Okay. If it hadn't been that detail, maybe they wouldn't have thought about how this person compromise the system. Another one that I loved was a receptionist at a law office, and at that time iPods were big, so she, 200 people passed her, the lawyers, the clients, all these people go by her. She's all sweet and nice, and she has her iPod plugged into her computer, obviously charging it. No, obviously not charging it. She was downloading the law firm's files. She was an insider. I gave that anecdote once when I was in law school to lawyer CLE who did not like being lectured by a non-practicing lawyer at the time. And I had a very old man sitting in the front. I shouldn't say old. Gosh, he's probably younger than I am. And he was obviously disgusted. And finally, he raised his hand and gave me this, everybody knows iPods are for music. And I was like, yeah, right. Okay. It's a hardware device, right? So acquiring evidence, although, I'm looking at this, he's looking at it from the electronic, that is important, but step back, physical, every single thing, the records, everything needs to be called into account, because again, a lot of our cyber threats, or cyber incursions rather, start with physical intrusions. So you're going to image the systems. You are not going to do this yourself. Unless you are trained in forensics, you don't want to do it. You're taking on way too much responsibility. You're going to want to get someone who knows how to do this. And, we're going to acquire it. You're going to analyze it on the server. You're going to, these are just the steps. I'm going to leave these in here. These are obviously not an attorney writing this. Fine, great. Between my being a software engineer, entrepreneur, and attorney's like fifth on that list, with 3 and 4 being vacant of ways I identify myself, right, or think of myself. But you've got this simple to rigorous. But again, if you're ever in this situation, in today's world, you are going to want to get someone who is trained and certified in forensics. And if that's going to be your ultimate career, God bless you. but don't rely on the evidence or the information I'm giving you in this course. Go out and take a rigorous course, get the certifications. And oh, by the way, if you're ever in business for yourself, create a legal entity and make sure your contracts indemnify you against liability. So we're going to identify our evidence. We call it bag and tag. Okay, and that's an old term. My friend that's an NSA hacker that worked many years ago. We're going to bag and tag it, right? We're going to have a control logbook identifying each piece of evidence. We're going to do everything we can to keep that evidence integrity in place. So there's not a question that the evidence has been tampered with or have had the chance to be tampered with. All you have to do is break. If I'm defending something, all I have to do is show one break in the chain of custody and have a very solid argument that the evidence has been compromised. So we do this through everything. When we identify it, when we bag and tag it, when we store it, when we transmit it, when we conduct the investigation, everything is logged. Everything is accounted for. And we keep these logs electronically, and we keep these logs with complete information. And we make sure that we limit the access to them because, again, if I'm the lawyer in this, I'm gonna try to figure out some reason. Maybe it was on a file server that had open access. How can you prove your data's log has integrity, right? So we want to keep everything together as we conduct it. I'm not going to go through the technology stuff here. Cute pictures to look at. Little figures here. Dr. Conklin loves this. He loves computer forensics. But these are the kind of things you're going to do, right? You're going to be looking for electronic footprints. And here's what I was talking about before, the chain of custody. The chain of custody, everybody's handled it. Everybody who's had access, physical and electronic. Don't let it be tampered with. Don't let something be thrown out of an investigation for the wrong reasons. So again, you keep a log, you record an item every time it's moved. If it's physical, you do whatever. You record the message digest hash value so you can prove that when it was stored and when it was later accessed, the integrity of that electronic file was intact. I hope you see all of this, that you see the complexity and the importance of maintaining control over your evidence. And so you look at something here, obtain a signature from the person who accepts the evidence. At every step, you also want accountability. You also want to know who did this, who was it passed to, who had access, where was it put if it was physical, okay? Was that physically secured? And at the same time, you want to do hash to prove the integrity. Go back to our CIA, the integrity of that evidence. So we're going to do hashes on our electronic files to prove that. So good, I kept it under 10 minutes. All right, I'm going to go to video 3. We're down to chapter 23. We're going to get everything done this week, get you ready for the midterm. And as always, if you have questions, I get so few emails. I'm kind of like the old ads for the Maytag repairman. I'm sitting in my office. Have at it. Send me an email.